Okay, great. We're recording. So,
Yay!
all right. So, welcome everyone. Lyanca, what were you going to say? I interrupted you.
Hi. Yes. No worries. I wanted to just I want everyone to kind of get to know you a little bit better. My name is Lyanca Reyna, and I'm more of a business and marketing strategy coach. And Deborah Hawkins is an amazing integrative coach who just works with folks in just amazing different ways. And I just wanted to give people a little bit of background about you and just real quick seconds about, how long you've been working in coaching and how, what types of folks that you worked with.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I've been working in communication with people for many years. I've been an integrative coach for over 10 years now, and as Lyanca said, we have worked and studied with so many great teachers. And Lyanca and I actually decided quite a long time ago, well, I guess it hadn't been that long ago, we decided we wanted to work with each other. We really wanted to share what we were learning. And some of this, Lyanca and I have worked behind the scenes together, and, of course, she's worked with individual clients. I've worked with individual clients, but we really have a synergy when we're together. And so this is a dream come true for us, which, I just want to I know. So I want to say that, just as this call is called A New Year and a New You, and it's designed to give you an intro into the tools and the way that you can begin to create the life that you really want, this is a dream and a desire coming true for us. So it feels perfect that we've been talking about this for a while. It's happening now, and, we're showing up in the world in the way we want, and we're being of service to others in the way we want. And that's really what we want for you too. So we're hoping that you'll really receive that kind of information on this intro call, which some of you may have not experienced coaching before or this kind of class, but we welcome you to listen, to let things in, and if you have questions, as Lyanca said, you can just press 5-star. Any other housekeeping before we get going here?
No, let's just jump in. I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Well, as we talked about in the guide that we sent out, we wanted to first of all, bring people into awareness about making changes in your life, making really big changes. One of the ways that we can do that is to become aware of our thoughts. And, I think starting off in the morning is a great way to begin your day, and looking at, kind of what's going on in your mind. As you know, Lyanca, a lot of this call is about looking at our thinking and our processing.
Mm-hmm.
And the way, we have mental habits just like we have eating habits or workout habits, and we are sometimes we're clueless to the idea that we have up to 70,000 thoughts a day, and most of those are not very positive. So, what we want to do here today is to bring awareness to that, and also to give you tools that you can start your day with. And one of those, we talked about, meditation and some of these tools that have been used for centuries. And one of the things that I want to invite people to do is it doesn't have to be a formal meditation, where you're sitting guru style and, for an hour, but a really positive, forward-moving tool is to begin first thing in the morning and maybe just take a few minutes, even 5 minutes, to begin noticing what you want for the day. And, if you feel like it, if you have time, you can write these down. Meditation can be really come in many different forms. It can come in just sitting for 5 minutes and self-reflecting. It can come in, 5 minutes of writing down what your desires are. We really do get what we focus on. And for so many of us, we jump out of bed in the morning and we're in a hurry and, we might be late, and that kind of sets us up for the day. And I like to encourage people to do, I call it meditation. It can be considered reflection, but it's really kind of a gift you give to yourself in the morning. Like I said, even if it's 5 minutes. If you can do more than that, super. And I encourage you to do so. But setting up your day, the first thing in the morning is the beginning to, first of all, understanding your desires and what they are so that you can create them.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Deborah, you probably know this. I have a 2-year-old, and so when I hear people say things like, the best thing in the morning is to do meditation, I'm thinking, great, now I'm going to wake up my baby, and he wants milk, and he's already going to start crying, and then you want me to sit on the floor Indian style and shed light over myself? I don't think so. So I would get really frustrated at, hearing some of that. And what I realized when you say, I think it's such a wonderful thing that you share with folks that when you say it doesn't have to look like that. And that was so freeing for me, because what I realized is that, even if I just open my eyes and I'm laying there quietly as not to disturb him because he'll need something immediately, I'll just lay there and I'll, say a couple words of gratitude, like, I'm so grateful that I woke up next to my son this morning. I'm so grateful that my eyes opened. I'm so grateful for this breath in my lungs. Just a couple words of gratitude, and then I'll move into, questions and intentions around my day. So I loved when you say, you kind of just set the tone for your day. Of course, some days my son does set the tone a little faster than I did. But, if I could just get a couple minutes just to outline that for myself, and I'll use words like questions like, what would support my health today? Or what would expand my business today? Who can I connect with that would expand that, that business or that health goal or support? Who can I talk to that would provide support around this? Or I'll sit there for just a couple seconds and, just really set the intentions and questions for the rest of my day. So again, just a couple seconds. I mean, for me, that's my meditation, but you know what? It really puts me in a different light for the day, and it lets myself have so much expansion and fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I love that you brought that up, because so many people, I personally don't have young children at this point, but, having children, can definitely dictate your day. But I'm glad you brought that up, because you can create this time if you plan for it, choose it, intend it, even if you've got children to care for. And like you said, just taking a few minutes in the morning before you jump up and get started with your son, it makes all the difference in, the business that, you're a busy mom, you have, you run a business, we do coaching practices together, you consult with clients, and you've got a 2-year-old. So, I'm glad you brought that up, because people, we can have, these things in our lives. And, I don't want to say sometimes we use children as an excuse, but, we use a lot of things as an excuse. But,
Sure.
Let's face it, a 2-year-old takes a lot of energy and a lot of time. And I'm just glad you brought that up, because I always feel like if you can do it with a 2-year-old, then I can do it. So
you're doing it. You're definitely doing it. So.
I love that you brought that up. One of the other things that we wanted to talk about on this call, which comes back around to the awareness, and if you're in Lyanca and my world, you hear that word awareness a lot. As I said, most of us are thinking 70,000 thoughts a day. They're not many of them are not very positive. We're making ourselves wrong. I know you want to say something about that, Lyanca, because we were talking before the call about how bad we make ourselves wrong by noon. Can you share about that? I think that's really.
Yes. I mean, had it not been for, again, just taking that couple minutes of meditation and self-gratitude, and before, I remember when I used to wake up in the morning and I'd be like, oh, darn, I'm not even, I haven't gotten Ryzen's milk bottles ready, or breastfeeding kind of judgment, or whatever it was. I'd get up, and then the next thing you know, I go to the mirror, and I'm like, gosh, I look like I haven't slept in 5 days. Those bags are looking, or dark circles look worse. And then, then I'm like, gosh, I really thought that I was going to lose this, whatever, baby weight, or whatever the little things that happen all before noon. I mean, that all those thoughts went through my head, and before I knew it, I was already beating myself up before I'd even talked to anyone else that day.
Yeah. I mean, the self-talk is so much of the time it is so abusive. And, like we've said, I mean, you and I have discussed this, and we're familiar with the idea that, 80% of the thoughts we think today, we thought yesterday. So we're just kind of repeating the negative thoughts. And, what I want to do here in this conversation is get people to really see that we can put a stick in the spokes and begin to stop, those thoughts that are just running rampant. The judgment against ourselves, it's at a critical mass, and a lot of it we're not even aware of, and it starts very early. We get programmed, not that our parents were mean people or anything, but I know you and I have talked about this, Lyanca. I mean, by the time we're 2 years old, we've been told no, thousands and hundreds of thousands of times. So,
right, and I probably judge myself about that too.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So it's something that it can be so automatic and autopilot, and that's what we want to begin to help people unravel, this idea of the way that we speak to ourselves. And what happens, Lyanca, and I know you know this, is after a while, after you've said it millions of times for 30 or 40 or, however many years, you begin to believe it, even though it's not true. Saying things like, I'm sorry, go ahead, Lyanca.
What I found fascinating or very, very interesting was if you were to ask, thousands of people around the world, no matter what their language is, no matter what their culture is, to write down maybe their top 5 most repeated negative things that they judge themselves or say to themselves daily, you would be almost surprised how similar in tone and sentence structure those exact phrases would be. So, I need to lose weight. Oh, whatever those, no one believes in me. Whatever those negative terms are, they tend to be the same negative terms that everyone else is using. I mean, we just as humans do that because we tend to have, of those 70,000 thoughts every day, they tend to be more negative. So, like you were saying, yeah, and so we start to believe that. And can you imagine a whole world that's just believing that?
Well, the whole world is believing that. That's why we're not out there on a daily basis really, being able to create the lives that, we're meant to lead. I mean, we're these, we're all these brilliant creatures, and, we walk around, shaming ourselves to death all day. And, I believe that's one of the main reasons, self-judgment, is why we're not creating the lives we love, the work we love, the relationships we love, you're not, when you're in self-judgment, you're not going to risk, and, we've talked before about this. When you are, when you're saying things to yourself, like right now, if I said to you, Lyanca, wow, you still have got that 20 pounds on, and, your hair looks like crap today, and, you still haven't got around to that? You still haven't got around to that? I mean, how do you feel when I say that, Lyanca?
Honestly, I feel it, I felt my back kind of cringe. I felt like almost hurtful, like it hurt in my chest. It makes me feel like I'm clammed up, like I want to shrivel, like I want to pull the covers over my head. It hurts. It physically hurts, even though I know you don't even mean it.
Of course. And, we respond to that kind of energy. And just imagine, we're saying these things to ourselves, like I said, over and over and over all day long. Most of it's unconscious. We're not aware. And, it's really no wonder by the time we get home at 3 o'clock or in time to fix dinner that there's really no energy left over to focus on our dreams or desires or, how do I create this next phase of my life? We're literally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, we're so beat up by the end of the night. That's why so many of us just kind of fall into bed and crash, And I believe it's happening just to millions and millions of us, and we don't even know why. We don't know why we're so tired. Because we're not aware and conscious of the things that we're saying to ourselves all day long. And, we talked about this. If we spoke to our friends, our family, our children, like we do to ourselves, there wouldn't be any friends or family, I mean, they would be running away very quickly. So it all comes back again to this awareness and, beginning to notice when we're saying these things, beginning to, and one of the big things we can do, Lyanca, and, I advise people to do this, if you really want to stop this, is to begin writing them down. When they come up, when you think a thought, if you can, write them down or just record it on your phone or, text it to yourself. And when you see that list grow and grow and grow all day long, it's so easy to see what we're doing to ourselves. And when you become aware of it, which I admit, it takes some time. It takes some time to learn how to do this because we've been conditioned. We've been so conditioned, it's so unconscious we're not paying attention. The mind's on autopilot. It's like when we drive home. You know how you drive home from work or somewhere and you don't remember even going through a red light? And you're like, was that red? The mind will take the path of least resistance. And for most of us, the path of least resistance is the negative path. And it's a very worn pathway in our brain that says you're not enough, you're not good enough, you can't have that. Who do you think you are? That was a big programming in my childhood. Who do you think you are? And we all have maybe specific statements that we tell ourselves, but they're all basically the same. They're all negative and they're all self-judgment. Mm-hmm. So I think the big thing is to become aware and also writing them down. When you write things down, they've done studies that 70% of people who actually write things down, goals or their desires, they're so much more likely to happen because there's something in the connect between the brain and the writing. And I think if you start writing down these negative things that you're saying to yourself, it will begin to help you snap out of it and go, wow. It's hard to create in that environment. It's no wonder we don't create what we want. I love this one. There's this one saying that I've always thought of, and it's the saying is that a good teacher never terrorizes her students. And that's always stuck in my mind because don't you have teachers when you look back, for example, that, were encouraging to you and, just gentle or somehow had a sweeter way with you, and for whatever reason you just learned more in their class,
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And, and we all have, memories of teachers that, were critical or whatever. And, I guarantee you, there's a memory and there was an easier learning, or maybe you just enjoyed the subject more because of the environment, of no judgment in that class. But I've always gone back to that because I so believe in it. A good teacher never terrorizes her students. So with that said, we need to stop terrorizing ourselves on a daily basis.
Why are we doing that? Yes,
well,
absolutely right.
Well, we're doing it because we were programmed, and things got planted in our mental garden. And now, as we become aware, and we're at a place where we all want great change, now we can begin to choose, pull up the weeds of the mental garden that we don't want or need anymore, keep the ones that are working for us, and plant some different seeds.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of self-judgment does keep us in fear. We were talking about that, and I think fear on the planet has also risen right along. It's right there with the self-judgment, because the more I judge myself, the more I'm going to be in fear of what you think about me, whether I can go out and create this job I want, or relationship, or it affects every part of our life, Lyanca, this self-judgment.
Absolutely.
It's huge. And, I'd love to go deeper into that, but I think everybody is getting a sense here of the importance of that is a huge block to us, letting go of our fears and moving more into the life of our dreams.
Yeah. I totally agree. One of the things on this call, of course, people are here because we want to create a new us for the new year. But, what can we do? What are some of the tools, or what are some of the things that you use, or some of the things that we can do to get us out of self-judgment? You talked about writing it down, but you also, you've mentioned here about asking questions. What does that look like? What does that actually mean?
I love this piece. I love this tool in talking about beginning to use questions over statements, because we've already determined that, we're telling ourselves these statements, all day long, every day. Most of them are negative. The idea, and you and I have worked a lot with questions and helping us open and create more. The idea with a statement is like, imagine the gate closing. You make the statement, it's like a done deal. I'm not worth it. Done, period. Mm-hmm. Or, I can never change, or that can't happen for me. It's literally like the gate closing, the mental gate mm-hmm. closing. Questions, we've discovered, actually open to possibilities. Questions are, something that it's like opening the gate again to possibilities, because like we've said, the mind is a problem solver. And when you begin, stopping the statements and really asking true, deep questions, the mind will begin to look for solutions. And it's, sometimes been miraculous when we have turned, statements into questions. And, for instance, if I've been telling...
Let me ask a
Sure,
question.
Go ahead. Yeah, jump in.
No problem. So when you're saying, okay, ask a question rather than making a statement, what does that question look like? I want to lose a couple more pounds or whatever, and I'm going, well, how do I do that when I haven't done it last week? Or how do I do that when I haven't done it last year? Is that the type of question? I know the answer, but I just want people to know what types of questions you're talking about here.
No, and I love that you said that, because, we're used to kind of working in this realm, but, yeah, a lot of people aren't. So the idea here is, it's not to take the statement and turn it into a critical question like, well, why haven't I, or how am I going to do this with my 2-year-old, or, taking a statement and turning it into a negative question is the same as a negative statement. What I'm suggesting and what I invite people to try here is to take statements in a more gentler way with curiosity. And that changes the whole energy, as you know. I mean, there's something quite different in saying to yourself, well, how am I going to get that done? Versus saying to yourself, what might I do today, even the smallest thing, that feels really loving and really gentle to me to create this goal? And, it might be like, for instance, we're talking about weight. It might come to you that you've got 15 or 20 minutes, when your husband gets home before you fix dinner, and you can use that time to go walk or to do a quick workout or, whatever comes to you. But when we get into the place of curiosity, then the mind opens. I wonder how else I could support myself. And that, as you know, is a totally different energy than, well, yeah, right, how am I going to get this done?
Yeah, absolutely. You have a really good example of how you used, how you stepped out of the judgment in your life and in one of your situations. I don't know if you want to share that, but, it's a really great example of how.
Yeah, I'll be glad to. The way that we use these questions to create the life that we want, it's not just about that. It can be used in really painful situations. Like right now, at this moment in time, an immediate family member of mine is critically ill. And so, when we face these kinds of challenges, it is very easy to tell ourselves statements that feel really bad. And we can take ourselves into depression and sadness and all kinds of things by, telling ourselves about these life challenges. And, one of the ways that I've used questions in this particular situation is to ask, okay, this person is very ill. How can I show up in this situation and bring the most love I possibly can? How can I show up in this situation and with my family and bring the most understanding? Who could I be? How could I be the most loving person in this situation? Mm-hmm. And, asking those kind of questions, they really put you in a totally different state, because it's almost takes it out of the idea of the, almost the selfish emotion. I don't really mean selfish. I mean taking it into, a place that you feel hopeless, really, asking a question where you feel hopeless versus, or telling yourself a statement where you feel hopeless about the situation versus being able to, ask a question like that, which is gentle and loving, not just for you, but really for everybody involved. And it can change so much about a painful situation. I know that you had a situation where you used, there was someone ill, and you used questions around that.
Yeah, too. Yes. It was one of the most, my grandfather my grandfather who raised me, so he was like my, he was passing, and he was very sick, but and I had just found out I was pregnant. We were remodeling the house. I was really stressed out, and I was trying to go see my grandpa every single day, so leaving work, and I was so tired. So if in the first trimester you're just dog tired and you don't even know why. and I just was feeling so much hurt. I mean, so much hurt. I just wanted my grandpa. And, I was learning this methodology of asking questions around specific situations and loss. And one of the questions I asked was, what's right about this that I'm not getting? And what I came to realize is that my grandpa got to see everybody before he passed. Everyone came to visit him, and then that he held my grandmother's hand, and he was ready. He was ready to go on to graduate to the next place. And he held my grandmother's hand, and he said, "Hope, we've lived a good life. The kids are good. We're good. I'm ready." And what I realized, what was right about that I wasn't getting, was that, wow, he had lived it, and that he had all of this to share with the folks in his passing moments. And so for me, selfishly, I wanted him to be there, so I could have stayed in that selfishness. But what I realized is that what was right about that was that now that's one of the best memories in my life, is to know that my grandpa and my grandma had a good life together, and that he could tell my grandmother that.
Right.
So it's just a freeing place to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love that example, because I think that, we're talking a lot about, creating the life that you want, and a new year, a new you. But, these tools, like we're talking about, can be used in, really difficult life situations where, maybe you're not trying to create something, but you're trying to cope, and so these tools can be used even to cope in the most challenging situations. And, that question, I love that question, what's right about this I'm not getting, because, my personal belief is that, we're all here to expand, to grow, to learn more about ourselves. And when you start asking questions like that, there's no way that you're not going to gain more information about yourself. And you created an awareness of the peaceful feeling that he was having, rather than being in a state of, feeling hopeless or,
right.
or terrible loss. And I'm not saying that we don't feel lost when, people around us transition, but there are ways that we don't have to stay in the suffering, and, we've even talked about that, the idea of noticing when you are suffering and asking a question. So I want our listeners to know that, this is, these tools are designed, and what we're going for here is being able to create the life you want, but these tools can also be used, for big challenges going on in your life. So I'm really glad you brought that up.
I'm
sorry, go ahead.
We're getting closer to...
You go ahead, Lyanca.
I was wondering if you wanted to take a couple questions, if you were ready to move through that, or did you feel like you wanted to expand on a couple more things?
No, I think I'm ready to take a couple questions.
Okay. Let's see. You might have them on your side.
Let me look.
So, guys, if you have a question, raise your hand. You can either write that in, or we will unmute you once we take your call.
Okay. I actually have a question here from Sarah. And she's asking, this is a really great question that probably a lot of people can relate to. She says that not just one area of her life, but almost all areas of her life right now, she feels like are being devastated or going away or being destroyed. And she is feeling hopeless and depressed, and she's asking, how can we address when every area, you feel like every area of your life is in trauma. so, oh my gosh, that's such a great question. Because, in our lives right now, I mean, there's so much change coming at us so quickly. And, even this year, I mean, 2015, I mean, don't you feel things are just speeded up, Lyanca?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean,
it is.
I mean, it was almost like we could feel it towards the end of the year. But, I mean, 2015, it feels like, things are going to come at you fast and furious, and we all need, tools to be able to deal with them. I mean, the energy just does feel more intense.
Sure. And, there's something to say to that real quickly, that even though it's speeding up, that can be a great thing if you have the tools. It can mean that you would create stuff at rapid speed. So creating your business, your life, the things that you want to lead. But it also can feel like things are coming at you pretty quickly too. So, that's why it's so important to know some of these tools and ways to step out of the self-judgment and use questions. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, I love that you brought that up. You're right. The energy can be used, either way. I mean, if we don't have the tools, sometimes it's used, as more punishment, or it feels that way. If we know the tools and have the support and use them, you're right. You can use this energy to create faster. And I mean, it's kind of like, in the way that we, finally decided, we've been talking about, we've wanted to do this class for so long, and, we finally made that commitment, and the energy is moving so fast. It just happened, it just happened so quickly. And so, yeah, that's a great point, and I'm glad you brought that up. And what I would say to you, Sarah, is that, when everything feels wrong, I think you've got to go to the place of being really, really gentle with yourself. I think going back to what we talked to about doing the way you start your day, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed and maybe so many things are wrong in your life, is going back to the way you wake up, the way you begin your day. Noticing right away what you're saying to yourself, because you are setting yourself up for the day to be in fear or to have the faith that you're going to be able to create what you need. You're going to be able to move out of these situations. And, one of the things I always like to remind people is that, everything is temporary, The way we're feeling is temporary. The situation is temporary. I know when we're in the midst of emotion and, feeling really hurt and devastated, I mean, it may seem like, gosh, it's never going to change. I'm never going to feel better. But, just saying things like that to yourself in a gentle way, as you would a child, this is temporary, this is not going to be like this forever. Something else is going to open for me. But what I would say, Sarah, is to, if you feel like everything, is kind of in the ditch right now, is to start very gently, very slowly, very easily, and especially in the morning, and set, the tone for your day as best you can. It makes a huge difference in the way that things will come to you in the day. Because if you, it's interesting, I think it was Henry Ford said, what was it? If you believe it, it will happen, and if you don't believe it, it won't happen. It's really all about our beliefs. And that's what we're talking about here is, being able to gently work with some of these old planted beliefs. And I would imagine for you, Sarah, a lot of this is coming up for you that, maybe some of the old beliefs could be that, you don't deserve this or that. And we all have those beliefs. They show up differently in our lives, but there's not a one of us on the planet that doesn't have some sort of, this is happening to me because I'm bad, or I've done something wrong, or, something like, and what we do is then we double dose the wrongness. If something's gone wrong in our life, then we blame ourselves and shame ourselves, and I think that's what takes us deeper into the hopelessness, Lyanca, don't you?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, one thing I'd like to add, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
One thing I was going to add, too, to that is that, Sarah, if you can just, I know I used to be the person that would roll my eyes to all kinds of stuff that I would hear people saying, all those leaders. They would say, well, can you show gratitude? And I was there where you were. I didn't know where to turn around, what to do next, how to feel. Everything seemed like it was coming down at one time. And it was hard to hear someone say, well, can you be grateful? And I'm like, for what? And so what I realized is like, okay, take it easy, take it slow. Can you be grateful that you have 5 fingers? I know that sounds kind of silly, but can you be grateful for the fact that you took a breath today? Can you be grateful for if you're sick, maybe some other part of your body is healthy, just that you showed up in the mirror, that you're here, that you're on this call. Can you be grateful for that? So just really be in that space and like Deborah said, be gentle and take it very, if you have to, take it piece by piece.
Yeah, I love that you brought up the gratitude piece because I always say, because I know it's true in my life, that, you can't be in the crapper and in gratitude at the same time. So, gratitude has like its own energy. And, we've heard this saying a lot, and it is true, it's been proven, you get what you focus on. So if you can find a way, Sarah, to begin to focus on the smallest things you can be grateful for, those things expand. If we focus on what's not right in our life, those things expand. And so, if you can just keep that in mind and be gentle with yourself. Don't blame yourself for the situation you're in. Many times we go through these situations because we're trying to grow, we're trying to expand, we're trying to come out of these old patterns that we've been talking about, that were planted in our garden years and years ago. And sometimes, we want to prove to ourselves, that we are valuable, that we are worthy. And it may sound funny to a lot of people to think that, we create, but we are creators. We're creating all the time, whether we go downstairs and create a cake, or Lyanca, you create a baby, we can't not create, right? We're creating, a sad thought, a bad thought, a mean thought, a happy thought. We're creating all the time, and we forget that. And, so many of us, and I want to remind you, Sarah, so many of us, we can, and I don't mean to make light of your situation, but we get in a place where we feel like victims. And, when you're in that place, it begins to be this, it begins to be an energy that can just keep sucking you down, keep bringing you down. And, sometimes we're actually going through this to expand. Just like they talk about, the cocoon and the butterfly and, the transformation that happens. Sometimes we're really going through these things to be in a better space. I know for me, some of the worst things in my life have ended up being some of the best things in my life. Mm-hmm. And, if you can use some of these tools that we've already talked about, what's right about this I'm not getting, using the gratitude, and really beginning your day with what you want, and to begin to focus on what you want, I think you'll find a shift. And I want to say, Sarah, we've got some other questions, so I can't spend too much more time, but I do invite you to email Lyanca or I, and we'd be happy to find out more specific information and give you some support around that. Did you have anything else you wanted to add before I move to another question, Lyanca?
No. Let's go ahead and move to the next question because I definitely want to share with folks how they can reach us. And if you want to email Deborah, you can reach her at www.deborahhawkins.com, and her email address is listed below.
Great. Thank you. Okay, well, we have a question from Judith, and she is asking about she has just recently divorced, and she feels like her self-esteem is gone. She doesn't have confidence. She's not quite sure how to move on. Well, that's something, many of us have lived through, and the reality is divorce hits you on every level, mentally, spiritually, physically. I mean, wow. And it creates so many changes in our lives and the people around us. And not to make light of this, Judith, but, this could also be, you could begin to be asking questions and using this as, it's a growth opportunity because we learn so much about ourselves in relationship and in divorce. I mean, oh my goodness. I mean, what can come on the other side can be amazing. I would say, again, some of the same things I mentioned to Sarah. Something else I'll mention, I think, in divorce, because for so many of us, we're trying to deal with, children and jobs and, still have a life and, our emotions are all over the place and, we can be just, depressed or devastated. So I would say, Judith, that support is critical for you right now. Otherwise, many of us continue to take the same patterns into the next relationship. So I think right now, focus on you. Do your best to let go of your ex. And, focus on what you have learned about you in this relationship. How do you want to be different in your next relationship? What do you want in your next relationship? If you will bring those questions back home to you and really get that support you need, because, when you're in those places of feeling discouraged, if you can get to a trusted friend or a real coach, someone who can be objective, that can really give you the tools and show you that there's life after this, and this is temporary. What you're feeling is temporary, and what you're learning could be taking you to an even greater relationship in your life. So I think support is key when you're going through that, because you're trying to juggle so many other things, and maybe trying to put on a happy face at work or, with the family or, certainly with the children. You need someone to be able to share your feelings with, because if you don't deal with your feelings now, they're going to come up later. They're going to pop up later. Sometimes they come out in really inopportune times, and it's not good. So get that support, and and go ahead and heal now. Don't wait. Your prime, your emotions are at the surface, so get them, cleared away, accepted. Recognize what you can learn from this. And, this reminds me of, one of the coaches that we've worked with, Lyanca, and she did this really great video, and It was called Thank You for Leaving Me. And she mentioned all the incredible, do you remember that, Lyanca?
That's right. And I remember feeling that way.
Yes. And she goes through this idea about all the things, all the great things that we're not aware of that are open to us when we go through a divorce, and the opportunity to change so many things about ourselves and our life. And it is really, I mean, we don't feel like it sometimes when we're in the devastation piece, but when you get that support, you can begin to see it as an opportunity to really live a more joyful life and understand yourself more.
Yeah, that's great. In fact, one of the questions that I used to get to that place of seeing the opportunity was, again, what's right about this I'm not getting? When I was going through the same thing. And thank goodness that happened. I mean, the same thing that she wrote about, that happened to me. So, I know it might be tough right now to see what's right about this that you're not getting, but maybe just ask, and it might come to you later. It doesn't have to be a full thought, but there's ways that it comes through to you. Our brains are very, very resourceful.
Yes, and when you're willing to be gentle, you'd be surprised, at what can come out. Because remember, when we're in the judgment of ourselves, it's like lockdown, and, we just get more of the same. So it's very true what you're saying, Lyanca, and, using those questions and gentleness. All of the tools we've mentioned would be very helpful for both of our people who had questions. And actually, I see we're getting close to the end of our hour, Lyanca.
Yes, and I do want to let everyone know that we really do have something to share, because I know that you mentioned support, and you answered that in the last question and how important that is. In fact, in my own life, I remember when I was telling my husband that I was going to walk away from my six-figure income position and I was going to start this coaching business, whatever that was at the time. And that's just how it was going to go down. And then I realized I was pregnant. Then we moved across the country, and I didn't have anyone to turn to because I really didn't know how to talk to my friends and family in the way that I needed the support. And so I turned to a coach, and I can't tell you how awesome it's been. I've been able to replace my income and grow a business and take these really big changes because I've had that support outside of my family and my friends. Of course, I love my family, my friends. I love my husband, but sometimes you just need that extra accountability and someone to look at it from a different perspective and provide that just the support, the true, honest support with a lot of knowledge behind some of the things that we need to work on. And with all that being said, Deborah and I put together something where if you do want to truly step into something new for you, we call, I'm going to let Deborah talk a little bit about it too. It's an opportunity. It's a crazy, crazy opportunity that we put together. It's a really reduced rate. For you to step into this for creating a new you for the new year. We call it the Espansion.
I am so excited about. I mean, Lyanca and I are both like over the moon to be able to offer this.
Crazy.
And like we've said, we've been wanting to really be more of service and share what we've known for a long time. I mean, Lyanca and I go way back. I mean, we've worked together behind the scenes and in front of the scenes too. So, but this is a dream come true for us, and we want other people to be able to step into their dreams. So that's why we're offering this. So what we're offering next is a 3-part teleclass. And
let me give you the link to where you can find out where it's at. If you go to DeborahHawkins.com, and right next to the word home, you'll see the link. You can simply cut and paste that link into your web browser so you can see all the juicy stuff that we're talking about. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Deborah, but I did want to let you know that you can find it on DeborahHawkins.com right on the home page. So go ahead. tell them about the module 1
Okay,
that we're
great.
going to.
Yeah. And if for any reason you can't get to that to be able to see it, just email either one of us and we'll be glad to send it to you. But in this 3-part teleclass, we're going to be doing it on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m., and it'll be starting on February 3rd, 3 consecutive days. And the first module is awakening your awareness. So, with everything we talked about during this call, you have gathered by now, being aware is a huge part of creating change in your life, especially the change that you want to stick. So we'll really dive deep into, getting you aware of what's going on inside of you. Can you imagine how your life could be different if you could really choose and create what you desire? It's just so exciting, and that is a really big piece. The second module is going to be discovering the rightness of you, and I so love this because most of us live in the wrongness of us every day, right, Lyanca?
Every day, yes.
Every moment sometimes. So it is with joy,
yes.
That Lyanca and I, want to share and go really deep into discovering the rightness of you, because it is true. When you begin to let go of these judgments and recognize, your potential, that, sometimes our personality or the way we were raised or the thoughts that have been programmed block our potential in the hugest ways. When you begin to really see that, your life can open up in ways that, you just can't even imagine. So that is a big one, and we talk a lot about judgment and really letting go of judgment. I think that is the judgment of ourselves again is one of the most painful places most of us are on the planet now. It's really, this is a strong word, but I think judgment is self-abuse at this point, and we want to help you. Feel so great about who you are that you don't mind risking whatever, to get what you want and to create that life and to create the joy. The third module is a full-on question and answer session. So you can come to the call. You can bring, you can be anonymous if you'd like, but you can ask any question, and you're going to get that one-on-one support that we're talking about. Again, we've talked about awareness and, dropping the judgment and getting the support. These are 3 major things that can help you, be the new you in the new year and have the things that you've said you wanted for 15 years. We can create them with you this year, and we're excited to do that. And then Lyanca has got some crazy bonuses, so share what you've come up with, Lyanca.
Yeah.
And I mean crazy.
This is crazy. So, I really, again, we wanted to create a community where you can dive into this, and we really wanted to just kick it all off and really get people in the community and working with us and showing how this can move you forward. And so we threw in a one-on-one private coaching session with either Deborah or myself, where you can ask very specific questions about your topic or the thing that you might be struggling with, whether it's business, relationships, loss, whether you want to create, your dream home, your dream job, your career, you want to, start your artistry business, whatever that looks like. We are here to support you, and we will do that in a private session. Sometimes, some of our clients pay us over $350 a session for this type of one-on-one work, and so we're going to give you that extended support. So it's just it is really, really crazy. You really can't get that for the value that we're giving you this at. And then another thing, too, that we're doing is, in addition to the one-on-one, we're going to provide email support. So during the dates of the course, you're welcome to email Deborah or I with your private questions. or you can share great things or even your aha moment. So, we're available. We'll respond with a direct answer from us. And so we'll give you that extended support on the topic. And the cool thing about the bonuses is that you can get started right away. And then also we're going to do a Facebook, accountability support. Now, you can choose to do the Facebook if you want to or not. It is part of your package as a bonus. It's really fun. And for me, in my world, the part of the private Facebooks that I'm a part of, I get so much out of that. I mean, whether it's, me posting my health goals for the week, or whether it's me posting my business goals, or just saying hi and, hey guys, this is what I want to accomplish, or giving support to other people. When we put that out there in a loving and safe space, it just creates so much more accountability and love in a place where you feel unjudged. And Deborah, you can speak to this a little bit too about, women really want, or, you found that women, and only because you're a woman, but we do want to create this community of place where we can be supported. And I have
talked to so many people over the last 6 months, and they are looking for a community of like-minded people. And this is the perfect way to get that support. I know for me, I've met lifelong friends in some of these Facebook groups where I've been involved, where I've paid for coaching programs, and it's invaluable. You hear other people's stories; they're encouraging. Or somebody may be going through something and you can encourage them. You can hear how other people may be using the tools. And Lyanca and I will pop in there, and, if somebody has something going on, we can pop in there and answer a question or two too. With this particular program, you're going to get, especially for the people who have never experienced coaching before. That's why Lyanca and I are like over the moon excited to do this, because we've spent thousands on coaching and teleclasses, and for us to be able and we've spent a lot of time and a lot of work to be able to create this and to give it to you at such a value. We're just over the moon about it. Also, one more thing, don't forget, and this is golden, you get recordings of all the classes and your one-on-one, whether that's with myself or Lyanca. Now, that in itself is gold, because I can't tell you how many times I have listened to a teleclass over and over and over. Maybe there was a specific tool I was really wanting to understand, but to be able to go back and listen, maybe you can't make the call that night. That's invaluable. You can listen at any time you want, but to be able to listen to your one-on-one, Lyanca, you can attest to that. Because some things come out in your private session, and especially if you're in if you've got emotion going on or something really big in your life, you can't remember everything, that
and you don't
was
even
said
know it
during
came
that
out of your mouth.
Exactly. Or you can't remember what your coach, encouraged you to do.
Right.
So you're like, now what did they say? And we don't want you busy taking notes during your private session. We want you present there, receiving everything you can receive. And so that's why we've set this up, that we're going to even record this session for you so you can listen to it privately over and over again, and continue to get what you need from it.
Yeah, we're super, super excited. All of these with the bonuses, we've worked with tons of coaches, and I know even the total value that I put here was, that I marked here was even low. I have it at $13.88, and we're offering it just a very special offer to get you guys in our world and in this and choosing you for only $97. Again, we don't know if we'll ever make the offer again, because it.
Oh my God! I can't believe we're saying that. because the thing is, it's not just one coach. I mean, Lyanca is an amazing coach and really knows so much. I mean, we're diverse in our work, but the synergy between us is great. We have the same ideas, but her expertise and my expertise is different. So I mean, the value of having two coaches one-on-one and with all this other time, we're blown away, that we can offer this to you because we have. I mean, we've done this. We've done this a lot. So, my goodness. So I'm just so excited. If y'all have any questions at all about, how the teleclass goes or how it works or, anything like that, please feel free to email Lyanca or myself. And I know we're about 5 minutes over, so anything else you want to add, Lyanca?
No, I just want to invite everyone to DeborahHawkins.com. You can find our email addresses there. You can find the link to the special offer. Of course, it'll go away pretty soon here, and the first class starts on February 3rd. We'd love to have you join us, but nonetheless, we're just so happy to have you in our world, and welcome to the community. This is your community, so please provide feedback. Shoot us a note or, fun things to share, anything. That's all I've got.
Great. Lyanca, yay! We have created it, and we want y'all to create what you want to. So thanks so much today for showing up. And those of you who are listening to it later, email us if you have questions, and we look forward to supporting you, being in service to you, and being a part of our community. So thanks so much, and we look forward to talking to you again. Bye-bye, everyone.
Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Bye.